Hey everyone, so now that the Batman has been out for more than a week now and more people are getting to see it, I wanted to finally give my 2 cents on the movie and kind of just tell you how freaking awesome I thought this movie was. The first thing I want to immediately point out is the cinematography in this movie, because my god, does this movie look beautiful. It looks amazing. Like from the opening shot where we get like the perspective of the Riddler, immediately the movie's making the audience ask questions like, who are we looking at and why are we here and who is the person that's breathing so loud? Immediately the movie feels like a mystery just from this one shot, and there's just so many creative shots like literally right after that where you're seeing the mayor of Gotham and you can only see him through a crack in the ceiling. I thought that was just a really beautiful shot, and throughout the whole entire movie it just looks amazing from beginning to end. This movie looks awesome, so I was really glad that they took the time to like really make this movie as best as they could just visually, and everything else follows. It's just a very unique looking movie, and I think that really plays well into the whole feel of Gotham, and like really like solidifying this universe and what it is to be in this universe, if that makes sense. And the music in this movie is amazing. I think it's Michael Giacchino is the composer. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. Michael Giacchino. This composer is probably, in my opinion, like the modern day Hans Zimmer and John Williams. I know Hans Zimmer is still alive and so is John Williams, but they're a little bit older. And Michael Giacchino, he's done some of the most iconic movies in recent times. Like he's done Incredibles, Ratatouille, the Spider-Man movies, and now this. He's just done so many very iconic movies from this generation. Like you can immediately think of the Incredibles theme. That's him. And in this movie, it's just like that Batman theme is like, it's not super heroic, it's almost like a villain theme. I've seen some people compare it to like the Darth Vader theme, like this dude's coming for you. And yeah, I love that a lot. And even just the music overall, not just the Batman theme, but again, the music and the cinematography play really well into the whole feel of Gotham, and it makes you feel like this is not a good place. In fact, it's the worst place, because that is Gotham. And the action sequences in this movie are just breathtaking. I know like a lot of people go into Batman movies to see like the main set pieces of all the action and punching and all that stuff. The sequences in this movie aren't just like Batman's in a room and he fights people and then he wins and that's it. There's several levels to each sequence. Like you build up to the Batman fighting this gang of criminals. It doesn't just happen. Batman goes to investigate the Penguin, and then it leads to a long, ridiculously awesome car chase that feels real, because like they're literally getting stuck in traffic, and I've never really seen that in a recent movie, and it just made it feel that much more real. And the Batmobile, holy crap, the Batmobile it looked sick. It was like the perfect blend of like a classic looking Batmobile, but also, like it actually is possible that car can exist. It's not like the freaking the Tumbler from the Dark Knight movies, where it's just a literal military tank. It makes sense for this Batman to have a literal like bat car. We haven't seen that in such a long time. The last time we had like a Batmobile that was kind of like just a normal car, I think this might have even been the first one. The closest one I can think of is like the Tim Burton Michael Keaton Batmobile, because that one is still more of a car. And as they go on in those like 80s 90s Batman movies, they get a little bit more cartoonish with like the Val Kilmer and the George Clooney Batmobiles. But this one just felt like, I don't know, there was just something really, really special about it. I know I'm going really into detail for the freaking Batmobile, but there hasn't really been, I'm just now realizing, like just a car that is the Batmobile. Even freaking Ben Affleck's Batmobile was, again, a tank. It was a tank. So I don't know, this was just a nice, refreshing take on that. And when it's revealed, like you see the silhouette of the Batmobile from the freaking like afterburner, like the blue light in the back. It looks, the whole police station escape sequence was just the build up to that. Like, he has to get out of there somehow, so it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's like this thing you're expecting, like, okay, how are we going to get out of this? And the way it happens is just, I don't want to go into detail because you've seen it and I'm not going to go play by play, but what happens, and that was like one of my favorite sequences in the movie. But this movie also has a surprising amount of horror sequences, which was not expected, at least to the extent that we saw. Like there's literal Saw sequences where people are trapped in these like jigsaw like scenarios, and it's pretty disturbing. We don't see the stuff actually happen, but we know what did, and that's disturbing enough. And there's sequences that nothing really even happens, but they're just going into an abandoned building, and the way it's played, knowing what the Riddler is capable of, just made it that much more intense. And yeah, I really liked how this movie did a lot of horror elements much better than most horror movies. Like the reveal of the Riddler when he's in the mayor's home, there wasn't any like jump scare sound effects. It was just, you see the mayor and he walks by, and then you see behind him a person. And that was just like, yeah, you don't need any stupid sound effects to exaggerate the effect of like, oh, this is scary. It's like, no, like all you need is a person just standing there, and that was enough to be like, holy shit, something that's a person, and a person's not supposed to be there, but he is, and that's the Riddler. And you just see him looking like, he almost looks afraid himself, the Riddler. He looks like, I mean, he's already here, but I would assume this is like his first time like actually killing someone. And the shriek that he makes when he like finally goes for it, oh my god, that was goosebumps. And speaking of the Riddler, that's a really hard name to say, the Riddler. I've never been able to say it correctly, so I just go by it like fast, like the Riddler, the Riddler, the Riddler, the Riddler. I don't know. But yeah, I was super excited to see a modern take on the character, since the last time we saw him in a feature film was with Jim Carrey. And when I was a kid, I thought that was just what the Riddler was. But growing up and learning more about Batman and all his characters, it was like, wow, that was bad. Jim Carrey, I mean, I know he got paid $1 gazillion for that movie, but this is just a much more grounded, realistic take on it. I wish he did have, maybe towards the end, like the suit, like the actual like Riddler, I don't know, if he had like a green tuxedo or something. I know that would have been a little bit too cartoonish. Maybe we'll see something like that further down in the franchise, but for what it was, I really liked what they did with the character. I thought it was really funny how they made it terrifying that he had 500 followers on whatever platform. I don't even think they specified what platform, but they were like, he has 500 followers. This guy, he can do stuff. I thought that was just kind of funny. I mean, I guess someone with 500 followers could theoretically do that, especially if all those people are in Gotham, but I thought that was kind of just the most unrealistic part of this entire superhero fictional movie. But yeah, Paul Dano, he was really good. I remember him from Prisoners, which is a movie with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. That was a really good movie. And from that I was always like, this guy would be like a really good villain in something. And the Riddler was perfect. He plays that really well, just being like this really creepy weasel. And that's what the Riddler is. That's kind of what he is in like the Arkham games, if you've ever played those. He is kind of annoying, and he thinks he knows everything. But at the end of this movie, we realize that no, he completely misread the situation when he thinks that the Batman was helping him all along. And that moment was just like, I didn't even catch on to that moment in theaters. I had to like be told by my girlfriend, like, no, he didn't know that Bruce Wayne was Batman. And in the movie, I thought like he kept saying like, Bruce Wayne. I thought like he was mocking Batman, like, I know who you are. You know, and Batman was like looking at the camera like, what the freak is happening, man? Don't you dare say it. But then he's just like, the one that got away. And I don't know if he just like backed off and was like, actually, I'm not gonna ruin this because it's too fun. That's how like most villains are. Or if he just truly didn't know. And the Penguin, played by what's his face? What is his face? He looks completely different in real life. I kind of feel like not looking it up. I know who he is. I've seen his movies before. He was in the Total Recall remake. I just can't remember his name right now, but he did a really good job. He's Scottish, I know that. Or Irish. But holy crap, was this a really good Penguin. They did such a good job making him funny to watch, but also not in a cringy way, if that makes sense. They made it super enjoyable. And there's that moment where they tie his legs and he's like waddling like a penguin. That's funny. There's so many funny jokes in this movie that you might not even catch the first time around. I don't know, there's just subtle humor in this movie that I really appreciate. It's not like, oh, Batman's fighting and then well, that just happened. That kind of humor that bled into like the Justice League type movies. I like how this movie took itself serious enough, but it also knew when to like be lighthearted and all that stuff. And they kind of gave Penguin like a little like wah 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 with his voice. He doesn't do that, but his accent, where he's like, "Oh, take it easy, sweetheart," like that. That kind of is like the equivalent to like a comic book cartoon. Wah 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 wah. So yeah, I liked the Penguin. I liked every aspect of this movie. I think the one thing I might have like nitpicked was like I wish the suit was a little brighter, but the whole point of this movie is that this is a dark Batman. This is a Batman at his lowest point before he realizes what he has to become, and that's like the main thing I want to talk about, Batman's journey in this movie, where he goes from being essentially like, you know, the Dark Knight Batman, where he's still figuring his stuff out, and all he knows is violence and pain and vengeance. Like that's what he thinks Batman is, and that's what Batman needs to be as productive as he can be. And then he's talking about how it's been 2 years and things seem worse than ever, so what's the point? And there's a really cool progression in like these two different scenes where in the beginning Batman saves a person, and that person is as afraid of him as the criminals were. Like the guy's just like, "Please don't hurt me, you know, get away." And then at the end of the movie, when Batman saves those people and lifts this person up to a helicopter, like that person sees him as a hero, and he realizes that, and like he nods to them, and it's just this cool moment where you see how far the characters come and how far the people of Gotham have come, you know? That was really cool. So yeah, this Batman starts off very reclusive as both Batman and Bruce Wayne, and I think Robert Pattinson had a really unique opportunity to portray a completely different Bruce Wayne / Batman that we've ever seen before, because even in Christian Bale's Batmans, as dark as those movies got, whenever he was Bruce Wayne, it was like a flip switched. It was like, you know, he's smiling, he's having conversations, being charismatic, and then when he's Batman is when like the dark stuff comes. But there's no difference here between Bruce Wayne and Batman. When Bruce Wayne is in a room and he looks towards someone, you can see like his Batman mannerisms. I thought that was just a really cool take. Like, this guy doesn't care if people see him as weird or a freak. And his whole relationship with Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz, I think I'm saying that right. I thought those scenes were fun, especially with the banter between them and the little fight sequences that they have against each other and just their opposing views. I thought that was a nice, I don't know, change of pace between like the dark Gotham. Catwoman kind of just brought like a level of like, I don't know, levity to Batman, I guess. Made him actually feel like a person having an argument with someone. And I think Catwoman was the first step into bringing some humanity back into Bruce Wayne. And I think this movie's main strong suit is that it doesn't drag things out. It really just gets right into what you want to see. And it has so much on its plate, so many characters and little plot lines that everything pretty much ends up getting resolved by the end. Even the little subtle plot line between Bruce and the kid, that his parents, the mayor, got murdered. You see Batman look at the kid, and then you see Bruce Wayne look at the same kid, and then at the very end, the kid like is the first one to reach out to Batman, seeing him as a hero. I thought that was just a really cool moment in the movie. Like, this kid represents Bruce Wayne, and at the very end of the movie, Bruce Wayne, basically like this kid who's representing a young Bruce Wayne, is like coming out of the shadows into hope, into the light, if that makes sense. I thought that was just like, oh my God, that's amazing freaking writing and filmmaking. I'm not going to go into every detail because this movie had so much. Commissioner Gordon, I thought was really fun. Or Lieutenant Gordon at this point in his career. I thought he was really good, and I liked his chemistry with Batman. They're kind of like partners. This movie's pretty much perfect. I really hope they continue this franchise, but even if they don't, this movie is perfect on its own. And I think that's really what DC should be doing. Just focus on making good movies. I saw somewhere DC said they're going to focus on filmmaking oriented movies, and I'm like, well, what have you been doing? What have you been doing? Like, you're going to focus on good filmmaking for your films that you've been making? I don't understand. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what you thought about the Batman. This is the part of the video where I know not a lot of people reach, so it's kind of just like, it's a whatever part. It's like, who cares? I mean, I care, but I'm just saying. You can leave now. It's all right. Subscribe if you're new. I live stream. I'm gonna start live streaming daily, so that's also a thing. That's, at least I want to, unless no one cares. Then it's like, you know. Also, when I have like long hair now, if you notice, I can kind of pull off like the Robert Robert Pattinson Batman, where he's like, I'm vengeance. Gotham needs me. I need Gotham. Anyway, guys, bye.